Welcome to the Beauty in Battle podcast, where we talk about winning in marriage by waging a war. I'm Jason Benham. I've got my girlfriend / wife, Tori Benham, with me, and we are here to talk to you about how Satan tries to get you to fight face to face with your spouse, but God designed you to fight shoulder to shoulder against Satan so that you can win in your marriage. Fighting together draws you together. We cannot wait to jump in. So here we go. Welcome back to the Beauty in Battle podcast. We're pumped to be with you. We are in our series, our fourth installment in our 8-part series talking about the neuroscience of connection based on the book by Dr. Amen called You Happier. We are going off of the acronym.
Relating.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Tor. Mm-hmm. Relating, that word, and we're going to use that. So we already talked about R, which is responsibility. We talked about E, empathy. We talked about L, listening. And today we're going to dive into assertiveness and the power of being assertive. Does that sound fun? That's right.
Yes, I'm
excited.
Sound
fun to you? Well, that sounds fun to me. But before we go, we got to play a song, Tor.
Okay, you got one today, don't you?
I do. I have probably one of the all-time greats, having grown up in Texas. You guys all know by now, it's country music or die. So I have one of the all-time greats by John Michael Montgomery, called I Love the Way You Love Me.
You even said that with a little more twang.
Did I say John? John Michael Montgomery? Yeah, but just, I mean, even the way this song starts, it's like, let's stop doing the podcast and just dance together, maybe smooch a little bit.
All right, let's get this thing rolling.
Okay, play the song, shut my mouth. Okay, I got it, Tor. Here we go. That is so good. And how your scent lingers even when you're not there. And I like the way your eyes dance when you laugh. Maybe we just play the whole song, Tor. How you enjoy your 2-hour bath. And how you convince me to dance in the rain. With everyone watching like we were insane.
I love the way you love me.
I could play the whole song, and that was a long clip.
That was a really long clip.
I
was just looking at you like, okay, when are we going to cut this one out?
Oh, come on.
But you know what? You were into it. You were feeling it, and it's a good one.
Hey, I forgot to say, the answer to the question that we're answering here when we're talking about the neuroscience of connection is, am I reinforcing the behaviors I like or dislike in my spouse?
Yeah, I love that. Say that again.
Am I reinforcing the behaviors I like or dislike in my spouse?
So good. So that's a great question to ask.
And that's why we're talking about relating. And so today we're talking about assertive, because of those 8 qualities, in order for us to reinforce the things that we like in our spouse and that our spouse can like in us, we need to take responsibility. We need to be empathetic. We need to listen. And today is being assertive.
Yeah.
So let's talk about assertiveness.
Okay. So assertiveness is something that I honestly didn't even think about until I started learning the Enneagram.
Yeah, that's true.
Because assertiveness is something that is one of the stances that they unpack in the Enneagram. There's so many layers to it. And the reason you'll hear us talking about the Enneagram is because it has helped Jason and I to become more self-aware.
Yeah.
As we were beginning to to look into what emotional intelligence is and how that helps relationships, we found that the Enneagram helped us become the most self-aware out of any other system that we could find.
Yeah.
And so anyways, one of the things that they unpack in the Enneagram is an interpersonal stance. It's how we go about getting our needs met.
Yeah.
And there are 9 different types, and 3 will move towards it in a similar way. Okay. So the 1s, 2s, and 3s are going to move towards getting their needs needs met in a dutiful way.
Dutiful.
So
Okay.
this is like, you are in this stance.
I'm a one.
So maybe you can speak to this. Like this, when there's something that you need, you tend to get very,
get it.
Yeah, you get it by being helpful. It's like, okay, what can I do to help? Let's like, you move into it with action. It's not like you're not delegating it out. You're going to move towards it in a way that you're helping yourself to, like, even when you're hungry, you go in the kitchen, you start cooking something. You're not, it's just kind of your natural way of getting your needs met. It's going to be a dutiful.
So when I'm doing the dishes, I have ulterior motives. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's one of them.
Wow, Jason hasn't vacuumed the living room.
Why
in a
are you
long
cleaning? Yeah.
Because I have a need.
And so it really is important to understand, like, have you ever thought about that? I know I never thought about that. How do I get my needs met? What do I do? And so the second one is assertive. And that is the 3, 7, and 8. They naturally are going to be assertive.
Yeah.
This means that they can be delegators.
Yeah. They can border on aggression.
They can be too aggressive.
Yeah.
They can they can come across as bulldozers. Like, this is what I want. This is what I'm going to get. And
I know how to do it.
They know how to get it done, but oftentimes they can move over people to get it done.
Yeah.
And then you've got the withdraw stance, which is the one that I'm in. The 4s, 5s, and 9s tend to withdraw.
Okay.
Which, when you really think about it, does that really get your needs met? Probably not.
No.
You just boil inside.
Yeah, you fall asleep to your own needs. And I remember hearing about that with someone being a 9, which you are, and I heard that they fall asleep to their own needs because they're all about meeting the needs of others. And then I realized for the last 20 some years of us being married, it's like, Tor, where do you want to eat? You're like, oh, where do you want to go? And then you'll just wrap around whatever I want.
Right.
And fortunately, over the last few years, you've learned how to be more assertive with that. And now I understand that it's always Indian.
That is
Thai food.
I actually do have some desire behind that.
Like, Indian? You've never liked Indian. You're like,
Oh,
no,
my
I've
goodness.
always liked Indian. You just always wanted to do steak because I did.
Yeah.
I'm such a bad husband.
But you know what? We've learned each other really well.
Yeah.
In the last, several, and we're learning each other even more and more every year. I mean, I feel like we're constantly growing, and that's the way it should be.
Tori knows, though, that I can't eat Indian too late, especially if we're going to watch a little show, on a Friday night, late. I eat the Indian saag
You
paneer.
can't get your ring off your finger the next day.
Oh my gosh. It just swells the hands up, but it also gives like some really awesome gas. Let me just tell you guys.
For you.
Not for Tori. I won't throw you under the bus like that.
Yeah. I'm like, where are you going with this? So anyways, it is really, it's one of those things with being assertive. And he talks about it in the book too, how you have to know yourself. You have to know, are you a naturally assertive person? Are you too assertive? Or are you someone that is not assertive enough and you get run over?
Yeah.
Because when it comes to being assertive, you really need to understand your bent.
Yeah.
Because when I first read this, I'm like, oh, wow. So he's saying that one of the things is you have to be assertive, but no, actually he's not. He's saying you need to know where you're at.
Yeah. The one thing that I think we need to do right from the jump here is define assertive. So I got a couple definitions. The first, being assertive is the quality of being self-assured and confident without being aggressive to defend a right point of view or a relevant statement. So let me say that again, and then I'll give you another definition. It's the quality of being self-assured and confident without being aggressive to defend a right point of view or a relevant statement, which means not backing down. If you've said something right, you're not going to then back down on it because the person didn't receive it the right way, right? That's being assertive.
Yeah.
A better definition that I like, assertiveness is a life skill that involves being able to express your thoughts and feelings in a confident, polite, and reasonable way.
I like that. That's really good.
And so I really think that assertiveness when it comes to a relationship is all about needs. It's all about meeting those needs of your spouse and expressing those needs of yourself. So that's what assertiveness is. So just think about that. It's a two-way street.
Yeah.
First, you have to be able to find yourself in a position to where you want to meet the needs of your spouse.
Yeah.
That's good assertiveness. Okay. And then you have to be in a position to where you can express the needs of yourself.
Yeah.
A non-assertive person, which would be a passive person.
Right.
And even an aggressive person. And we're going to talk about 4 different levels of this. but the passive person doesn't express their own needs, but they're probably really good at meeting their spouse's needs. The aggressive person probably isn't good about meeting their spouse's needs, but they're really good about expressing their own needs.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So you're going to be passive. You're going to be aggressive. No. That's not what you need to do. You need to be assertive. So it's all about needs. So let me give you these 4 levels, because this will help you understand where we're talking about and why assertiveness is so powerful for your marriage. The first level is being passive. So we mentioned that. That is, let me give you some qualities of being passive, and then a statement that represents a passive person in a relationship. So some qualities: they're emotionally dishonest. So you might not really know what you feel emotionally, but others aren't going to really know what you feel emotionally either. So being passive is emotionally dishonest.
Wow.
They're indirect, inhibited, self-denying, sometimes blaming, and often apologetic. A passive person says others' rights and needs take precedence over mine. Okay.
Wow.
And we would think, well, that's the right way you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Well, remember, the commandment is love others as you love yourself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which means that you understand your needs and you know how to get those needs met.
Wow.
Okay, so that's the passive person. Then there's the passive aggressive person. So this isn't the full aggressive. This is the passive aggressive. They're also emotionally dishonest. They're indirect. They're self-denying at first, but self-enhancing at the expense of the other later. So they're not willing to confront you in the moment, but what they're really doing is underhanded way of
backdoor.
Yeah, they're backdoor cutting you.
Mm-hmm.
And the statement that represents them is, I subtly make clear that my rights and needs prevail. So I'm going to subtly make clear that my rights and my needs prevail over yours.
Okay.
That's what passive aggressive is. Okay. Then there's the aggressive. This is the person who's inappropriately honest. Okay. So they're honest, but it's like, gosh, you're just so blunt. Like, just cut that out. Like,
right.
Be a little empathetic here.
Right.
So an aggressive person, inappropriately honest, they're direct, expressive, attacking, controlling, and they're self-enhancing at the expense of others. Their statement is this: I boldly insist that my rights and my needs prevail.
Wow.
And they're bold about it.
Yeah.
Like, I need this and we're going to get it done.
Bulldozing.
Because that's not who I am. When you hear people say that, that's just not who I am.
Yeah.
Well, in a relationship, especially in a marriage, it's not about that's not who I am. It's about compromise, and it's about meeting each other's needs. So you've got the passive, you got the passive aggressive, you got the aggressive. Those 3 are bad.
Yep.
Then the perfect that you want to be is assertive. Assertive is appropriately honest.
Okay.
So it's not bashing someone with your honesty, and it's also not withholding honesty from someone. You know, if I'm like, Tor, what do you really want to eat? I really don't care, but deep down, you would like some Indian food. Well, you can't be emotionally dishonest with me in that moment. You have to be appropriately honest, which means, well, I really don't care, but in all honesty, I kind of would like some Indian food.
Right.
Like that's a gift to me as a spouse, that you can be honest with me that way.
Yeah.
So an assertive person is appropriately honest. They're direct, self-enhancing, expressive, confident, and empathetic to the emotions of all involved. And their statement is, I clearly express that we both have needs and rights. So they clearly express it. Let me run these little statements to see if you're assertive.
Okay.
Okay, ready? And this is for whoever's listening here. Just tell me if this lines up with you. Okay. If you're assertive, I can easily request help and information from others.
You want me to answer
No,
this?
no, you don't have to answer it. It's all rhetorical. So are you assertive? If you're assertive, you can do that. You can easily request help and information from others. I feel capable of learning new things. I take responsibility for my own mistakes. We know some folks that don't do that real well. Try 12-year-old kids. I can discuss my beliefs without judging others. I can express strong feelings such as anger and frustration. Like if you're scared to express anger or frustration, that's a problem. Okay. I'm able to express my honest opinion to others. I tell others when their behavior isn't acceptable. That's a hard thing to do. But in a relationship, you've got to be able to do that. A couple more. I'm able to say no without guilt or fear. That's huge.
Wow.
For assertiveness. that you're able to say no without guilt, without fear.
Is that even possible?
It is possible. It's tougher for a 9 on the Enneagram than it would be a 1 or an 8. I'm comfortable meeting new people. I can speak confidently in group situations. These are assertive people. I can assert my beliefs even when the majority disagrees. This is huge. Do you know how many even spiritual leaders like pastors today are not assertive? Because they are not going to tell what they really believe because of lack of public opinion. I believe my needs are as important as those of others.
Wow.
You're assertive. Yeah. I can express disappointment without blaming others, and I value my own experience and wisdom. Those are all traits of being assertive.
That's really good.
Yeah, it's humbling to read that, because there's a few on there I'm like, I don't really know if I line up with that.
Yeah, I love those little quizzes because it really does help you to think through questions that you may never have thought of before, to bring some self-awareness to and some emotional intelligence to, a situation that otherwise you just wouldn't know. So I'm going to go back and look at those and listen to this podcast again and really go through that because those are some really good questions.
And Dr. Amen has, what does he have? Like 5 or 6 points on how to become more assertive? Let's go through those.
So this is what he says in the book. He says, being assertive means expressing your thoughts and feelings in a firm yet reasonable way, not allowing others to emotionally run over you, saying yes when that's not what you mean.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I like that.
So you need to only say yes when you mean it.
Yeah.
And so not to be so quick to be like, oh yeah, I definitely do that. And then you realize that was something that I'm really not capable of doing right now.
Yes.
So he goes through 5.
Did you hear that pun? I said yes.
What? I don't get it. Oh, I get it.
I like it.
That's not a pun though.
It wasn't?
No.
It was just like a little punchline maybe?
Yeah, something. But you threw me when you said pun because...
Either way, it wasn't good.
Nope.
Is what you're saying. Thanks, Tor.
All right. So
moving on.
There are 5 simple rules to help you assert yourself, he says. I'm going to go over them. Do not give in to the anger of others just because it makes you uncomfortable.
Oh.
So, and he, talks about the different brain types, and this book is about different brain types and how different people think and how you might have a more bent towards being cautious or persistent or overly sensitive, or spontaneous, which is kind of like you're kind of have squirrel moments where your brain is going a million different miles an hour and bouncing in between thoughts. And so how all of those ways that you have that natural bent would affect the way that you respond. And so he was talking about how this is something that people who are more cautious, when they're just very aware of people's frustrations and angers, and they just don't want to deal with it at all.
Yeah.
And so when somebody gets angry, they just submit and they just go with whatever they say, just simply because they don't want to deal with that person's anger.
Yeah. That's like the old statement, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. Or it could be the other way around. If dad's not happy in the house, then nobody's going to be happy. So if dad comes home in a bad mood or angry, then everybody just falls in line.
Right. And that just could become a very dangerous environment that you can't say, no, we're not going to do this just because you're upset right now.
And in any unhealthy relationship, it's typically tyranny by the most selfish partner. So the key is for the more selfless partner. Now you're not, of course, going to make that announcement, I'm more selfless than you, but you will put your foot down and say, no, that's not what we need to be doing. You really don't need to be acting that way right now.
Right.
So please stop.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is also not just in relationship with your spouse, but with your kids. Like,
well, we don't tell our kids no.
That's true.
We give our kids whatever they want so that we don't have to deal with the crap.
No, but this is such a tendency for me. It's like, I don't want you to be upset and have to deal with your anger for the next hour and just kind of subtly accommodate.
Yeah.
Instead of be like, absolutely not. I don't care how you go. We can go head to head for an hour and it's a no.
Yeah.
That's hard for me.
Yeah.
That's a tough one, but
you can do it, Tor.
Thank you. I got this.
Thank you.
Number 2.
There's nothing like Tori saying, I am not going to make Jake that sandwich that he's going to ask for because he's asked me for 15 other different things. And the next thing I know, I come home from work and she's making him a sandwich. I'm like, there you go. She's like, I just felt like he was hungry. And I'm like, yeah, but you said you wouldn't do it.
Well, that's,
Tor.
All right.
That's a mom thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's so hard to know when to say no.
Yeah. Just start with no and we move on from there.
Yeah. Start there. Okay. Got it.
Start with no.
Okay. Number 2, say what you mean and stick up for what you believe is right.
Yeah. I like that.
Yep.
Actually say what you mean. That way you don't have to be passive aggressive with it or beat around the bush. Just say it.
Yeah. I just think there's such balance in everything. Like you and I actually had a little disagreement. It was a couple weeks ago. And I was just kind of like challenging something politically that you and I were actually like, you were very passionate about.
I told you shouldn't have voted for Biden.
I know.
Dang.
But why, babe? I mean, okay.
He's a nice guy.
That has nothing to do with it. But
she did not vote for Biden.
It had nothing to do with Biden. But we were talking about something, and I have a tendency to see things from a lot of different angles, and you can be more like you're just sure of something, and it could be a really, really good thing. But sometimes I'm like, well, but let's just look at it from this perspective too. And you said to me, shame on you.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did. But listen, I'm going somewhere good with this. And because it was like, you were so passionate and it was so black and white and it was so wrong. What I was like, for me to bring in a different angle to you, it was like, no, you can't even.
I don't really think I said it like
you
that.
Said shame on you. Let me finish. Okay.
You little liar.
And for me, I'm not typically going to challenge a lot of things. And I think you could see it in my face, like, but let me just like talk it through. And I started talking it through, and I remember you just looked at me, you're like, I am so sorry. You don't remember you said, I'm
I do,
sorry.
But I don't remember.
I can't believe I said shame on you.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, I remember we just like had this kind of moment where you're like, I sometimes can be so passionate and so like, no, and so confident about something that I assert myself and I don't let you have a different opinion. Yeah. And then it becomes this moral thing. And it's like, no, you can talk about things and we can talk about things without me saying, shame on you or you feeling shameful for having a different opinion. Yeah. And anyways, it's conversations like that for somebody who's not assertive, it's like, no, if I don't agree on something, we can talk through it, even if I'm totally wrong. Like, honestly, in that conversation, we kind of talk through some things, and I really wasn't thinking straight on something, but I needed to tease it out. Yeah. I needed to tease it out and hear different things. And I just think it's...
Now every single woman that's listening to this podcast hates me.
No, it was good because I think there are other men who are very, funny. Very assertive, and it becomes this like this kind of bulldozing way of handling things instead of being like. Now, I don't agree with that, but yeah, like I do hear where you're coming from, and there has to be like this balance of assertiveness and what is the other word? Passive aggressive. No, those
are the bad ones.
Those are the bad ones.
Okay. What is the word? I don't know. But I think that it's important that there is a balance there, that there can't just be this bulldozing, that there has to be a safety in conversations to where, you can assert yourself and be confident, but you can also allow the other person to have a difference of opinion and it be a healthy environment. And I can say something here for the ladies out there whose husbands maybe do have strong opinions or anything. I remember having this conversation with Tori. I don't remember the shame on you part. I thought I said something else, but it wasn't like it. But whatever it was, I do remember coming back and being like, I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. I jumped to conclusions. But one of the things that led me to that was that you were assertive in that. And you said, would you stop and just let me get this out and say it? Because that's not what just came out of my mouth. It might have
I'm
been
like,
different.
I'm talking through this thing. Let me talk through it.
But you were assertive with it. I was like, oh, okay. You kind of put me in my place, and I think that's a really good thing, especially for wives. Be assertive with your husbands. They want that. And they'll appreciate it.
I'm just laughing so hard that you're like, I didn't say I don't think I would have said shame on you. You said shame on you.
Okay.
It's killing you, isn't it?
Yeah. Why would I ever say that? I don't even know.
You corrected yourself, but that was like that was the passion that came through.
Nice. Good job.
Okay.
All right, take us to number 3.
Number 3, maintain self-control. And he talks about how somebody with a spontaneous brain who's kind of bouncing around thoughts can get out of control a lot. And this is actually something that I struggle with. This happens when you don't assert yourself. You don't say, no, I don't want to do this, or no, we're not going to do this, or you just are going with the flow. And then all of a sudden you lose control because everything is chaos because you have not been assertive.
And I just remember Michelle Bachmann telling us that. You know, remember the lady who she ran for president several presidential races ago, and she had, how many kids does she have? Like 8?
Like a lot, yeah.
Yeah, and we said, how do you discipline your kids or whatever? Like, how do you maintain sanity?
Yeah.
She had older kids, and she said, you have to enforce boundaries. Like, you have to enforce the rules. If you don't, if you say, here's the rule, and then they break it, you know, and you're just kind of, passive with it,
right,
you'll explode.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's why I get angry. Mm-hmm. Like, if I just would enforce boundaries calmly,
right,
and enforce them, enforce, right, then I wouldn't explode in anger.
Yeah, exactly. And that's basically what this one is about. It's about when you are, able to assert yourself, then it doesn't get out of control, and then you just freak out, and you're like, ah.
Yeah.
Number 4 is be firm and kind if possible.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yep.
That is a fruit of the spirit.
Yeah.
Kindness.
Yep. And then number 5 is I love this one, be assertive only when it is necessary.
What does he mean by that?
You don't have to be assertive for every situation. We have to
just
accommodate. We have to chill out. We have to be
laid back.
Yeah. You go with the flow. Like, even like with going out to eat, when you've got there's 6 of us in our family. Mm-hmm. And so for me, it's just peace is more important than what we eat.
Yeah.
So like taking my opinion off the table to me is like, it makes it just a little bit easier. And honestly, I wish that our kids could be a little bit more like accommodating. Like, let's just not be so opinionated about where we're going to go to eat, because we're not going to eat tonight if everybody has an opinion, because everyone wants, or what we're going to watch for a movie.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
which family movies, gosh, I hate that it feels like it's a thing of the past because the kids
have such an opinion.
Can't handle, like, I don't want to watch that. I'm not.
They got to choose last time.
So then I just, I've found that if you just pin your kids' heads straight to the ground and force them to do it, it works.
But I mean, in relationship, in family, we are constantly like, you have to let go of your desires sometimes. Like, it's not all about you all the time. And so I think that's what this is about. It's being assertive only when necessary. Like, when you can, just let go. But
like that.
At the same time, there are going to be times for people who have a really hard time being assertive, that you're going to have to push harder to be assertive.
And for the spouse that might be naturally more assertive, like me, mm-hmm. It's your responsibility to help your spouse be assertive.
Yeah.
Pull it out of them. So we'll go back to the easiest example that we've got is, Tor, what do you want to eat? She's like, I don't know. What I don't care. Whatever you want to eat. No. That's not good enough for me. Mm-hmm. No, tell me what you want to eat. No, seriously. Honey, I'm telling you honest. I don't care. And I'm like, okay, so here are 3 options. This, and this.
Yeah.
3 that I know that you probably would like. And then you just pick one. And then it helps her be assertive.
Yeah. That is something that when we started to learn about this stuff and became aware of it, you really did. Like, it kind of became your goal was to help me to get a voice and to be able to, have an opinion on things by making that easier on me. Yeah. And so if you do have a spouse, Jason, is that just something that, because it's on the front of your mind now, that's just become, because I know in the last, I don't know, however many years, you've been really intentional about pulling that out of me.
I think the thought that God's not just your father, he's your father-in-law. Mm-hmm. And your father-in-law wants you to bring the best out of his son or daughter.
Yeah.
So what can you do to help them become the best version of themselves? And so what I know about you is that you're the best version of yourself when you have that bent of assertiveness in you.
Yeah.
That little bouncy, bubbly
confident
girl I met a long time ago. And so if you're not being that way, then I need to remind you and help you get to be that way again. So for a spouse listening to this right now, and maybe you think that your spouse isn't who they used to be or whatever, well, you can help them get there.
Yeah.
And you just have to take a proactive stand and ask God, as your father-in-law, show me what I can do to help your son or your daughter become that person who you made them to be. And then you get assertive with it.
Yeah.
And then help them be assertive.
Right.
So again, just to wrap this up, assertiveness in relationship is all about needs. It's about being able to meet the needs of your spouse and then expressing your own needs to your spouse. So if we can do that, I think we're going to be in a good place.
I agree.
Assertiveness. All right.
That's a good one.
Next week, what I don't know. What are we talking about next week?
Next week is time. Yep. That's the fifth letter.
Time after time.
Yep.
Right.
Okay, so I'm not going to share a recipe with you guys this week. It's the kids' spring break, and we're taking them to the beach. And so I'm not gonna throw together a reel or anything. I'm just gonna let this one go. Yeah. And lots of people still asking for jokes, and so instead of doing a recipe, I'm going to do a joke.
They like
the jokes, so we might have to bounce. Well, I think they like the recipes, but I've just heard several people say, share jokes or say, hey, how come you guys aren't doing jokes anymore? So maybe we'll bounce back and forth every once in a while when we don't do a recipe. So I got a joke for you, babe. Are you here? Are you with me?
I'm ready.
Did you know in Hawaii it's illegal to laugh loudly?
What? You can't laugh at the joke before you give it.
Okay, I'm going to start over. Did you know in Hawaii it's illegal to laugh loudly?
No.
You have to keep it to aloha.
Oh, no, that's quality. Where did you get that? Somebody give it to us?
No, I just found it online.
Good job, Tor.
You're not supposed to say what? You're just say no.
No, okay, got it. I didn't go along with that one very well.
It's okay.
Hey, thanks for hanging out with us. We had fun. Listen, if you haven't taken our 5-day marriage challenge, do it.
And let the English see you do it.
And let the English see you do it. And tell us what movie that's from. Don't tell them, Tor. They have to guess it.
Actually, you know what? You know so many movies. We should do that. We should do that.
It and let the English see you do it.
Little quotes from movies and see if they can guess.
We should do movie tunes. Like legit.
Oh, that's your favorite thing to do.
Should I do a movie tune?
No,
that's one of me and Tori's favorite things. Well, I could say it's one of my favorite things more than Tori.
Yeah.
But to get a good soundtrack. Oh man.
He loves him some soundtracks.
I have this playlist, and I should share it with everybody, called A-List Soundtracks, where I play these incredible tunes. Listen to this. Listen to this. Name that movie.
One of the best movies ever.
Oh, you got to watch this. It's such a happy movie.
That is a feel-good movie and soundtrack.
Yeah? Okay,
Are you going to tell them or no?
I'm going to give it to you. It's Father of the Bride. Okay, so we'll do that one time. Listen, go take our 5-day challenge if you haven't taken it. All right? Have some fun. You guys will really enjoy it. And for those who want some marriage coaching, go to beautyandbattle.com. Apply for marriage coaching if you maybe want to do a marriage mentorship. That's a little bit of a step up, or one of our marriage intensives. Just go to our website, check it out. We're here to help. All right? Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yes,
this was really
this was fun. We'll see you guys next week.
I feel like I need to pray it out, but I'm not going to. But I will pray for you. Right?
I think you're having a hard time saying goodbye tonight. All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
Peace.